Alright, so make sure that you have this sheet out in front of you with the Unit 1, Learning Target 3, and 4 notes. And today we're going to talk about Learning Target 3. I can determine whether or not a set of input and output values represents a function in various forms. So let's go ahead and start with talking about tables. Alright, if you want to pause it right here and copy these tables down, and then go ahead and when you're ready, play it again and we'll talk about them. Okay, so this one right here, this is our input, and this is our output. So our X is our input, and our Y is our output. And you can say the same thing for this situation over here. X is our input, and Y is our output. And if you go down and you look at these, you've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 1. So there's a repeat in the ones here. So I'm going to circle this. I'm going to circle this. All right? And in order for a set of input and output values to be a function, each input can have cannot have more than one output. So if you look at this, the 1 is our input. It has an output of 5. Our 1 has an output of 5. So it has the same output, so it only has one output. If we look at this one, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, I'm going to circle the 1s again. And if you notice, the 1 has an output of 6, and the 1 has an output of 12. So why is the second table not a function? We want to write the input of 1 has 2 different outputs. So the input of 1 has 2 different outputs. So let's go ahead and go down to the graph. If we're looking at this graph, again, you can pause it and copy these down and then we'll talk. But again, the X here, this is our input, and this is our output. And this is where we'll talk about something called the vertical line test. I always like to take something straight and kind of run it along the edge to see if it touches more than one. So if I come over here, and it's called the vertical, so it's got to be a vertical line. So if I slide this over, it's only going to touch this line every single time once. So I could draw this line in here, right? I could draw this line right here, all right? So one touch. And the same thing over there, right? Now, if I go over to this next one, got to make sure if at any time you have 2 outputs for one input. So I could draw this line right here, and you can say, well, nope, that one is a function because it only has one output. But it's at any time. So if I draw this over here, if you stop, oh, right there, it's got 2. Right here, it has 2 outputs, right here and right here. So it has 2 outputs for that input. Alright, so why is the second graph not a function? It doesn't pass the VLT, vertical line test. Okay. Which means that you can take a line and draw it down through and touch it at least 2 times or more, right? If I were to draw it over here, the line would touch 3 times. Okay. Last one, let's go down to a situation. So in this situation, we've got the function, not a function, and go ahead and copy this down. Pause it if you need to. Now let's talk about it. People and birthdays. All right. Each person has 1 birthday. So for my input, put an I by that, and I'll put an O by this. For my input of people, so if I input somebody, if I input Barack Obama, Barack Obama has 1 birthday. There's only 1 output. If I were to input George W. Bush, George W. Bush has 1 birthday. If I were to input Mr. Dodge, Mr. Dodge has 1 birthday. So there's only 1 output for each one. Now, birthdays and people. Birthdays and people. There are people at Reese Puffer that have the same birthday. So if we were to take the birth date of my daughter's birthday is if I were to take 12/31. 12/31 is my daughter Madison's birthday. 12/31 as an input is also my brother-in-law Jordan's birthday. So there's one input of 12/31 gives me two different outputs, right? So that is why the second one is not a function. One input has two or more different